Next guest this evening is a comedian from Cleveland, Ohio, who has played just about every comedy club there is to play here and continues to do so. His name is Keith Hedenberg, and I think he's waiting in the wings. Keith?
Thanks, Jordan. Well, that was a tough act to follow. How you guys doing tonight? Hi. You guys come here to have a good time? Yeah. I came tonight because Jim told me that if I come on stage, he's going to buy me a beer. I told him I never play with myself in public, so that's out of the question. I heard Reagan and Carter and Hart were on this cruise ship, right? And they're just cruising along, and all of a sudden, the ship hits this giant iceberg and starts sinking. And Carter says, "I think we should let the women go first." And Reagan says, "Well, fuck the women." And Hart says, "Do we have time?" You guys know how many White House aides it takes to change a light bulb? None. They want to keep Ronnie in the dark. You got any Three Stooges fans out here? I'm a big fan of Three Stooges. Great inspiration. I'd like to do a little scene from the Three Stooges that was never before seen on television for obvious reasons. It takes place in the shower, and Curly Joe's singing. Hey, oh, you got the soap! You guys remember the Carol Burnett show? No, my favorite characters were Mr. Tudball and Mrs. Wiggins. And I always wondered, why is it that Mr. Tudball never made any sexual advances at Mrs. Wiggins? I think it's because the guy needed glasses. Now imagine what would have happened the day Mr. Tudball got his glasses.
Mrs. Wiggins, could you please come in here? Mrs. Wiggins, could you please come in here? I want you to see my new glasses. My, Mrs. Wiggins, what fine assets you have there. Could you please bring me that file over there from the bottom drawer? Oh, Mrs. Wiggins, I love it when you bend over like that there. I want you.
Does this mean I get the raise, Mr. Tudball?
I got the raise right here for you.
You guys, anybody out there watch Mr. Rogers? You guys like Mr. Rogers, huh? I kind of like this guy, but there's something about him that just doesn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? But now I'd like to do my own version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Hello, how are you? We have a special guest here tonight, Dr. Helga Horowitz. She's a psychologist. You know what a psychologist is, don't you? Can you say that? Don't? Sure you can. Hello, doctor. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Rogers. It's a pleasure to be on such a distinguished and equitable show.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here.
So tell me, Mr. Rogers, how long have you had this fascination with children?
What are you driving at?
It seems to me that you spend an inordinate amount of time talking to children. I never see you talk to big people.
Why, sure I do. There's Mr. Postman, and Mr. Milkman, and Mr. Meterman, and Mr. Policeman.
It seems like there's suddenly are an awful lot of men in your life, but no women. What the fuck of how you achieve sexual gratification?
Now, we seem to be running out of time, boys and girls, so we're going to take a little trip to the Magic Kingdom.
But wait, that's not the show.
Damn, Harry, get this woman off of my set.
All right, now comes the audience participation part of my act. Ladies, if you'll just bear with me for a moment. Come here. Come on. Be a sport. Now, I was thinking about my ex-wife the other day. God knows why. I remember this story about that one day we decided that we couldn't talk about sex openly in front of the children anymore. So we decided when we wanted to have sex, we'd say we wanted to do the laundry. So the first night, my wife comes up to me and says, honey, you want to do the laundry tonight? I said, no, not tonight. I'm really tired. next night I come up to her and I say, honey, you still want to do the laundry? She says, oh, no, not tonight. I have a headache. The next night, she comes up to me and says, say, honey, you feel like doing a load of laundry now? I said, oh, no, it was a small load, so I did it by hand. You guys like that smut, huh? You want smut? I'm going to show you my pee-pee. I don't leave home without it. Well, you guys have had a chance to hear some really interesting poetry tonight, so now I'd like to do some limericks for you.
There was a young plumber named Lee, was plumbing a maid by the sea. Said the maid, cease your plumbing, I think someone's coming. Said the plumber, still plumbing, it's me. Nymphomaniacal Jill tried the dynamite stick for a thrill. They found her vagina in North Carolina and bits of her tits in Brazil. If intercourse causes thrombosis, well, abstinence leads to neurosis. I prefer to expire fulfilling desire than live in a state of psychosis. And finally,
I'd like to do an impression for you of Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre. Igor, do you know why cavemen used to drag their women by the hair?
No, Master. Why did they do that?
Because if you drag them by the feet, they'll fill up with dirt, you fool.
Oh, thank you, Master. Now you won't have to hose them down.
You guys have been a great audience. Be careful, there's a lot of normal people out there.